Mark!
What?
Where are you going?
Skating.
Did you clean your room and make your bed?
Sure, yeah, sure.
Hey, how are my people doing? Mr. B here. It's Friday, January 19th. Hope you guys are doing well, and I got another skateboarding story to tell you. It's an unfortunate one. It's not like the Christian Hosoi story that I did, you know, where he basically went to prison and came out reformed and turned his life around and got off crystal meth and everything like that. This is a far darker, terrible story. This is the story of Mark Gator Anthony, one of the most prolific in the 80s skaters, certainly one of the most successful, famous. Like a lot of people, like a lot of skaters, he went down that dark route. He changed his name, but he was born Mark Rogowski on August 10th, 1966 in Brooklyn, New York, and he moved to Escondido, California at the age of 3 after his parents divorced. Started skating when he was 8 years old, and he was fairly talented, you know. And he was picked up by a local skate shop team when he was only 12 years old. So he was already sort of off and moving. In 1982, he won the Canadian Skateboarding Championships in Vancouver, British Columbia. I do believe he was 14 when that happened. So he's, you know, getting his career, getting everything together like really early. Some of his early sponsors were GNS, Going Trucks. I really don't like Going, sorry. Andy for life, that's just me. Going Groove. If you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't. That's cool. I got no problem with it. I just don't really dig them all that much. I do like GNS boards. Had a couple Neil blenders, so I'm down with GNS. Vision years, he was the first to receive Pro Deck. Pal Peralta's Bones Brigade video show. Vision had Skate Visions, and those videos came out in 1984. And his Spiral model with the Gator name on the bottom, you can see him skating Del Mar. That was his first pro model. He was first featured on the cover of Thrasher for the first time in June 1984, and Trans World Skateboarding Magazine in October of 1985. Now, he was making a lot of money with Vision, like a lot of the pros were at the time. You know, the Bones Brigade, of course. How many times do I have to say it? They were kind of leading the charge of the money makers. Pal Peralta raking in the money. Vision had started doing really well. Gator was kind of their golden child. You know, he was the first one to really start marketing all the, you know, Vision streetwear, berets, shirts. Fanny packs, all that crap. And you know, at one point he was making, like, by today's standards, about $14,000 a month. $14,000 to $8,000 per month, and was getting at the time he was getting $2 per board around 1987, selling 7,000 decks, and that's what totaled to 14,000 to 36,000, and that would be $36,000 a month in today's economy. He did the Swatch Impact tour, which was, he was skating with Jeff Phillips, Chris Miller, a couple of BMX freestylers. Matt Hoffman might have been a part of that. It was like a traveling circus, like a rock star show, you know, where they would set up you know, lights, have a ramp, nice big half pipe inside of an arena, pack it out, sometimes have DJs playing, sometimes have live music. I mean, just depending on what they had going on. Sometimes they would have high air contests. Christian Osoy usually won that. It was either him, Steve Caballero was close, or Tony Magnuson. Like, those three were like jumping on it. But the Swatch Impact, I mean, really sort of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. It was like, is this really what we want skateboarding to represent? Like this whole rock star vibe. Jason Jesse certainly didn't like it, and in his bio, like, he talks about that. So the fall with Gator started just like any other vert pro in the 80s. You know, everything started dwindling down. The royalty check started getting, he had bought a house in Fallbrook amongst the avocado groves. I don't know if he could keep up with the payments on it. Tony Hawk lived out there like at one point and decided he didn't like being out in the boonies, as he said, so he took off. And by the way, Helen Strickler has a really good bio on Gator called Stoke, The Rise and Fall of Gator. And it was released in 2002, and she's a pretty acclaimed American filmmaker, and Stoked actually went to the Sundance Festival at one point. So back to the fall, he ended up just, I guess, like a lot of people, bottoming out. Vision went bankrupt at some point. He just wasn't who he was. He changed his name to Gator Mark Anthony for some reason. Got involved with a guy named Augie Costantino that advised him to enter Christianity. By this time, he had entered into a relationship, a tumultuous relationship with Brandy McLean. And she's been in some videos with Gator dancing around. She was in the Free Fallin' video, the Tom Petty song. She's in that video with him and did some Vision ads. And they were on again, off again, fighting all the time. A lot of times he would break into her place and take back, you know, possessions and gifts that he had given her just out of spite. Get into her house, take stuff back. Threatened her, locked her in a closet at one point. I mean, it was just headed just down a terrible road. It was something about Gator, like we saw him at the Trashmore contest in 1986.
Falls, no
Okay,
falls,
Gator,
no,
you
no
ready?
falls, no falls.
Gator, you got any tunes? You got your music? He's gonna whistle. Okay, let's bring him out. Scores for Lester 82.3. Gator Rogowski's on it.
Reason up front and assaulted a police officer, and they took him away. after the kids vandalized the car, hurled a bunch of rocks through the windows and stickered it and smashed it all up. But he did get arrested and was able to get back in time to do his runs, but something was definitely off with this guy. There was a dark side. I will, no doubt about it. Later on it was found he suffered from bipolar disorder, alcoholism. You know, that's one of the reasons always for these videos is recovery. Christian was able, Soy was able to get out of the meth situation. It seems like Gator just spiraled. Almost like the graphic on his board. Just not to come back. So it reached a critical mass, pretty much. One of Brandy's friends, Jessica Bergen, was in town. She had just moved to San Diego. Because she was new. So they went back to his condo, drank some wine, partied a little bit, hung out. And at some point, some rage just overpowered him. And he snuck up behind her, hit her with a club, like one of those things that they use to lock a car's steering wheel so you can't steal the car. I think you could still get them, I'm not sure. But he knocked her unconscious, dragged her upstairs, handcuffed her to the bed, and raped her for several hours. And I guess when she came to, he freaked out and ended up suffocating her, strangled her. Put her body in a surfboard bag, drove her out into the desert, and buried her in a shallow grave. And like later on, this guy Augie Constantino, someone had put flyers around. It might have been her father, Jessica Burks' father, was a lawyer, which is not going to help anything, especially his parole cause. Have you seen Jessica Bergen? You know, they were on telephone poles and everything. Well, Gaynor confessed to the crime to Constantino. And he said, you know, that girl that they've been looking for, well, I killed her. That's the one that's been on these posters. So it's, you know, and then they gave him, you know, his lawyer had him plead, his lawyer Jimenez had him plead. It was like a special circumstance charge, like initially, because it was a rape occurring during a murder. Then he could get the death penalty, but he avoided the death penalty through a plea bargain that ended up where he was going to have to do, I think, 31 years to life. And he's already been denied parole. In 2019, he was granted parole. Well, in 2011 was the first parole hearing, and I think I'm going to leave a list of his approvals, denials, the history of his parole hearings up. In 2019, I guess he was set to go. I'm ready. I'm going home. Not so fast, Gator. You're not going anywhere. Governor Newsom just squashed your parole because the governor has, the governor of California, I guess the governor anywhere, has the authority to squash a parole if he wanted Gator to realize the gravity of his crimes and have a little more time to sit in the cell and think about it. So, I mean, it's just a very, very unfortunate situation, and it cast a really dark blotch, if you will, on the skateboarding community. I mean, it was in the news everywhere, and it just, even if he gets out, I mean, I hope he's repentant of his crimes and he no longer wants to use drugs or alcohol, and I don't know, with her, you know, father being a lawyer, he's just lobbied every time there's a parole hearing and just get it squashed. But there are people that think maybe he's paid his debt to society and deserves to get out. What do you think? Leave some messages in the comments if you would. I'd like to hear about it. But yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. I hope nothing like that ever happens again in skateboarding. I really don't. This is Mr. B here, and as always, you guys take care and stay tuned.